Sarti Sandwiches. My name is Charlie Sarti, and I'm here with my co-host and friend, Owen Asztalos. Say what's up, Owen.
What's up, everybody?
So this is our first official episode of Sarti Sandwiches. It was Owen's idea to name it this. My nana and pop had a sandwich shop called Sarti Sandwich Shop. And the whole premise of this is we're going to have guests on, we're going to have people come on here, and we're not going to do interviews, but it's almost going to be like that sandwich shop vibe, that coffee shop vibe, when you're just in there, you're just loosely talking, getting to know one another, and really just amongst friends. And I'm really excited to this. And Owen, I'm really honored, and thank you for being a part of this and going on this journey with me.
Absolutely. I mean, and a lot of it too is, we have a lot of really insightful conversation, like with a bunch of different people that roll through the gym, obviously, because like Charlie has a massive clientele and is a really in tune guy and in touch with the community. And so with all these like different people that roll through, we have these like really honest conversations with them, like people from like all different walks of life too.
Yeah.
And like through conversing, I feel like we're kind of taking like one step closer into like figuring out like what the answer is, like just to life,
Yeah, and just do it. And there's something like everybody that's going to come in is going to have something that they could promote. They could promote their business. They could do whatever. Like everybody that we sit down with, though, just like when we go through our regular day life, like there's so much substance. There's so many things. Some people might be a cyclist, or like there's just across the board, man. And really, like the whole sandwich shop vibe, it's not going to be an interview. And you made that straight to me, Owen, like from the door, because you're like, dude, we're not just interviewing people. And that's really the basis and the birth of what we're doing here, So I'm really excited about that. Tonight, bro, we're just going to really do an intro like with you and I, Owen, and we're going to kind of just chop it up. We have no clue where it's going to go. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about our history, you know what I mean, and how we met, what gives us credentials to even do this. But, I'm honored to be here with you, Owen. I've been with you for a long time, man, and through the journey I've learned so much from you. And actually through the years, one thing I'll say just out the gate is one of the things that I gained from you is real work ethic and real discipline, man. I didn't have that. Like I did in my own right, but you had it's impeccable, like the way that you approach projects and the way you think. So I'm honored to be here with you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I mean, and obviously likewise, being in the gym, like being in Third Element with you and being around, so many like really inspired people kind of helped me to be inspired, and also like the really kind of tight-knit community around here where it's not an ego contest, it's about everybody's kind of trying to find sanctuary here and trying to better themselves like in some shape or form. It's just like it's a really honest process, and that's what's special about the gym. Is there's no kind of like area where people are trying to like one up you or like trying to be better than you.
That's a good point, man, right there.
I mean, seriously, and that's another reason like why it's so easy to work out at Charlie's. And why certainly I know why my dad likes to come here is because like he doesn't feel like he has to like put up a front like you do at like some of like the other like public gyms, where it's more competitive there. So that's another reason why I like to come here. And also too because like the way that you introduce like fitness in general to me, like not even necessarily just like bulky kind of husky busky weightlifting kind of like weightlifting kind of yeah, right, home of the big husk.
Hey, the big husk does come here.
Yeah, so like not even like that, but just like overall wellness in life. It was like we started working out, and like that was the first step, and then like incrementally it was like, all right, well, like how about we take out the peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch and we'll put in some like turkey burgers or something, or like instead for like Honey Nut Cheerios for breakfast, which is said to be the healthiest of the cereals.
That's right.
We do like an egg omelet or something like that, and just like that sort of like incremental changes, and not necessarily even like looking at the numbers, but just like changing my lifestyle around.
You know, and let me just, like, you know what's funny, Owen? Like, you're taking me back to that point because like you're so far from that now. Like, but I remember when we started that, you like journaled your food for like 2 years straight. You know what I mean? Like every day, Joe Dog, I did it. And like my approach is always simplicity, because for me, I'm a slow learner, man. And I need to really simplify things to do it. And so that's interesting. Like that just took me back with your food. You know, you used to beat yourself up. Owen got so crazy. You know what I mean? If he would have like a piece of bread, like he went to the extreme, man. Then we'd have to talk him off the cliff. You know, that's what makes him special with that. But yeah, that's true, man. It's one step at a time. You know, it's one step at a time.
Absolutely. I mean, and it doesn't even like feel that long ago either, which is like the crazy part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beating myself up was not good though. Like that was definitely a habit that I'm glad to break.
Yeah.
Because that like wasn't a good way to live my life.
No. I think we all do it to an extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, no, but and like for sure. I mean, and so many people like have insecurities about like feeling like bloated and stuff like that, but like I took it to like a whole other level.
Yeah.
Where I would even eat like one piece of General Chow's chicken and I'd be like, oh my god,
that's right.
It's over.
That's right, man. That's right.
So, but yeah, but I mean, I just don't think like that's not a consistent way that you can, you know, sustain yourself.
And that's right, and not only for nutrition, Owen, like in every aspect of life. Mm-hmm. Like, look, so the gym is called Third Element, mental, physical, spiritual. It's about bringing all that together, you know what I mean? Like, you can't think your way into right acting, you got to act your way into right thinking. So obviously, you need to take that first step. You got to get your feet moving, and then your mind's going to catch up. But I think the mistake that a lot of people make in every aspect of their life is they decide I'm going to make it an event. So it's like, oh man, I got to change this in my life. So it becomes this event, and they're going to cut out all their food. They're going to do this. They're going to do that, and it's just unrealistic. Like, you know what I mean? It took you a long time to get the habits that you have. So when people say I stink at sticking to habits, no, you don't. You got habits. You're great at doing habits. You just got the wrong habits or the habits that aren't serving you. You know what I mean? So that nutrition piece is beautiful. As we branch out, it really goes into every aspect of life.
It's like whenever my dad says to me, I go, Dad, why don't you quit smoking? He goes, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter.
He's witty.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it was really it was a lot from the natural progression of it, though, you know, because it's like you go onto YouTube or like you go on the internet or something, and like so many people like want to prescribe this like formula to you. You know, they're like, oh, 30-day challenge, this will, you know, get you a six-pack, or like you know, if you do such and such every day at this time of day and you eat this amount of calories, you'll have this, that, and the other thing. And it's like this like very like scientific like formulaic thing. And you try that, but it's so hard to stick with it because you psych yourself out the second day.
And when you say psych yourself out, that actually is going to lead into what I was thinking about here, how I want to add to that. Like, it's so simple. Like, you have to shift the way you look at something in life. You know what I mean? Like, they tell you, like, you got to manifest. You got to think positive. You got to do this. That all sounds great. You know what I mean? And when you're watching these like videos that are pumping you up, yeah, it sounds great. But the bottom line is, like, you're gonna fall back into your own thing. You have to legitimately shift your mind frame. You need to shift the way you look at it. So when I say people are making an event, that's because they're looking at it through that lens. But you have to shift. I have to shift. We have to shift our frame. And once you shift your frame, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, like I'm seeing the picture from a different angle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's why simplicity, bro, is so important to start with whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's like a certain element to it where, like, you also just kind of have to like do it. You know what I mean?
You do have to do it.
I mean, you hear like I know it's kind of cheap that I always like rip off David Goggins, but like you hear David Goggins talk about it, and he's like, you know, I'll sit there and look at my running shoes for 3 hours before I decide to put them on and go for a run.
Yeah.
But you just gotta jump in and run. You know? I mean that's certainly the formula with me is like, you know, if you get caught and feeling bad about yourself and you're like, oh man, I ate too much this night. That means I'm not going to do anything tomorrow because I'm going to feel terrible. It's like, no, dude, like you just got to go to the gym. Like just show up. That's half the battle is showing up.
And it's funny because like you said though about the gyms, like, come on, I've been doing this for years, bro. I worked in the gym for how many years? Even when I go to a gym, like it's a lot to take in, man. You go over to the dumbbell section, you know what I mean? It's a lot to take in, even for somebody who's seasoned. You know what I mean? It's still overwhelming, but then you push through it. So you take one of these people that never been to a gym before, they go there, they'll do a couple classes, they'll find like the 30-minute circuit, and they find their comfort zone. They'll get in the elliptical, but what happens is they're going to hit that plateau because they're not comfortable enough to step out and branch and learn everything that's in there. It's like to stay at knee water when you could go out there and swim. You could do the freestyle, the breaststroke, the backstroke, the side stroke. You know what I mean? Like you could tread water. There's so much you can do in a gym, bro. But the problem is when you walk into that big box gym, and no disrespect, I love big box gyms, but we're talking about that person that really wants that success and really wants that comfort and you need to be training wheels before you're popping wheelies, you know? So like, yeah, you do got to get up and run, but if you're just coming from you sitting on the couch, you're watching Netflix all the time, you're eating food like Oreos, whatever, you're living a sedentary life. You get up, you go to work, you're programmed, your relationship's stale, you're not really living your life. Yeah, you have a purpose when it comes to what your job is, but you have no real purpose or desire for yourself. And I don't know about you, Owen, but I believe each human being on this planet desires to feel like they have a purpose. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's really what it's all about. Speaking about training wheels, though, this isn't something that we've talked about actually, but
no, just fresh.
It is something that I have a question for you. It's like, how do you feel about somebody like a David Goggins, like in the fitness world, like this kind of like almost like angelic, like fitness messiah who's just like impeccable and almost like infallible, and going out there and kind of like preaching the word, like, but like how do you think that affects like the average Joe? Like, do you think it's inspiring, like by and large, or do you think it's like degrading for some people?
I don't think it's degrading, and I think if somebody would take that degrading, then that's the thing that maybe they're taking it at. That's a great question, what you said. I certainly don't think it's degrading because, I mean, the way he puts it, sometimes, you know what I mean, is harsh. But yeah, let's be realistic. Like David Goggins, like, he was overweight. Now all of a sudden, he's the hardest working human on the planet. You know what I mean?
He's like a real life superhero.
He's like a real life superhero. And because of his mental toughness, remember we talked about that mind shift a little bit ago? He shifted his mind. So he legitimately, the way he once saw life, he shifted it. Now, I don't know David Goggins to speak on him, so I'm not going to speak what he means with what he says, but the way he approaches, the way he delivers it, it's almost like he detached from that. That old self is no longer himself. He calls himself names, you know what I mean? Like he did this whole new level. So it inspires people, yeah. But is the average person going to get to that David Goggins level? Probably not. But I like how he sets the bar high and he shows anything's possible. And he torments himself. Now, I'm not going to go torment myself when I got the family coming to the house and come see him at once and miss my bacon and eggs. Right. I'm not going to personally do that, but I'm not going to condemn him for doing that. So I think he's giving a good message, but every messenger has a different approach. Yeah. So our messenger, we're not dramatic in that sense because we're willing to work and move as slow as you can to even get them half of where David Goggins is. But all in all, I respect David Goggins' work ethic. You can't do anything but.
Right, absolutely. And that's like another interesting too, is because like the work ethic kind of reveals itself in different ways sometimes. Like in the sense that, we're not always working out in the same way, especially at this gym. Like we do a variety of different things. I mean, between like boot camp, which is like a high intensity, like interval training kind of style thing. And then like doing the stuff that we did yesterday, which is like, like heavier, like proper weightlifting.
Dude,
training.
Yesterday was fun.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, and like we don't do that often.
We don't do that often, and your dad loved it too. Like yeah. So basically what we did yesterday, we went straight bench press and we went pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Then we did an incline bench with the bar. Mm-hmm. We normally don't do that. So we normally bang out the thing, but we do a lot of supersets here, you know what I mean? Because
the high intensity.
The high intensity. And then as the workout went off, then we added those supersets. But all in all, man, by the end of the workout, like, it was fun because let's be real, and you shared it with me yesterday, like when you're going under that bar and you're pressing weight with it, you can do, right?
Yeah.
But you're getting up to where you're not quite sure how many reps you're getting. right?
Right, yeah.
It's a mental battle. Like it's kind of like you get butterflies in a way. You get anticipation, and then you get it, boom, and just like everything else, when the fight starts, you're in the game.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like when you're little, like it's like an anticipation. Like, yo, I'm going out to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Different beast, bro. Different beast.
Absolutely. I mean, well, because like, you know, the thing about like a boot camp or even going for like a run or something is like the hardest part is just like starting it, you know. But then like whenever you're powerlifting like that, like it is like, you know, once you get the bar up and once you're like in that kind of peaked position, bringing it back down as you're doing that, you're thinking about how am I going to get this back up, you know. And then the fact of the matter is like you're telling yourself that you're not getting tired. Like, this is not getting harder. I can still get this up. But by like the 6th rep, whenever you're lifting really heavy, it's hard, man. You know, and you don't want to tell your partner help, but sometimes like
you gotta help.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, that's what friends are for. We all need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's cool though too, you know, being around with Lisa and her kind of party of people now.
That's like a match made in heaven, man. Lisa's someone very special.
Yeah.
It's funny, all the events that happened, like, you know, since the pandemic hit. You know, like before the pandemic, like the business started growing, Owen, and you and I were going to New York. You know, you were doing your acting thing. I'm coming back. I'm meeting new clients. I had like a team of 7 people. Like the gym was blossoming, man. Yeah. And then the pandemic hit, and it changed everything. But really what it changed, and I know a lot of people probably still feel that and maybe didn't rebound quite yet, but for me as a person, I evolved with it, man. And the business is a good example of watching that. Like Alex, my friend Alex from New Age Hoops, yeah. I would have never brought him aboard because in a way I was egotistical. You know what I mean? I was fearful, like, no, I can't. But I was always like the lone ranger, you know? Yeah. And now we got Alex in here. Him and I for 2 years have blossomed our friendship. It's wonderful. And then all of a sudden, a lady that I know reaches out to me and she said, hey, this is a scenario. What do you think? Less than 24 hours later, Lisa and I met. A week later, 2 weeks later, she's here. And I got to tell you something. I would have never bringing another gym and connecting with one. I would have never done that, ever. It just fits, man. Like, I don't feel like it's Full Throttle and Third Element anymore. I feel like Full Throttle and Third Element are just one. Like we're just really bringing it, you know. And the family atmosphere is, it evolved. I'm very grateful, man. I'm glad you brought Lisa up, actually, because we'll have Lisa be up here with us soon.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, her whole Full Throttle team, her whole family, everything. You know, she's much respect, Lisa. I'm honored, just like I was honored to be here with Owen. I'm honored that I'm part of your life and you're part of mine, Lisa.
She's got a hardworking crew around her. For sure. Everybody's like really into the fitness definitely over there, which is cool. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick intermission and then we'll be back in a sec. So, this morning, I was listening to this podcast with Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull Gravano. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know you mean. I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael Franzese, he's this gangster from like, what was it, like the 80s and the 90s, or like the 70s and the 80s?
Yeah, and his dad was like the guy.
Yeah.
His dad was the guy.
What was his name? John Franzese, right?
Yeah, he was the guy.
Yeah. So I'm listening to this podcast, and dude, they start arguing, like him and Sammy the Bull, because then Sammy the Bull was the guy who turned information.
Sammy the Bull tries to like take it to the street with him.
Dude, he
tries to take it to the street.
Literally, but he was the guy who.
What are you gonna do to me, Sammy? Huh?
He was sitting in a chair, kind of like that too, right?
But he's a trip, man.
Yeah, Sammy the Bull's funny because he was the guy who turned evidence on John Gotti and got him arrested, right? But then they're having this conversation, and Sammy was getting all hot and bothered because Michael like sent him a text saying like, "I'm gonna pray for you." Sammy.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
And Sammy was like, "I know when somebody's trying to okey doke me."
Yo, he didn't like that. That's funny.
Sammy said, I know when I'm being okey-doked. And Michael said, contrary to what you might believe, Sammy, I wasn't trying to soften you up for
He
anything.
actually lost his cool too, right? Like that's not his character, at least today. Yeah.
Michael doesn't usually lose
No, he
cool
normally
like that.
doesn't. He did there though.
Yeah.
He got a little fired up, and then he came back. They apologized. They squashed it. And when I forget which one he said, but my son, he loves you. And then that kind of like changed it up. You know what I mean? My son looks up to you. He said, you know.
Well, and Sammy was just blowing the whole thing out of proportion.
Yeah, he was.
Dude.
He was.
Sammy was flipping out, but it was
He was
funny.
fired
because
up.
I saw this comment, and it was like, I was like, dude, this is actually so relevant. And somebody commented about Michael Franzese. Somebody said that Michael Franzese is like the character that Robert De Niro usually plays, kind of like the calm, cool, collected business guy.
Interesting.
But then Sammy the Bull is like the character that Joe Pesci usually plays.
I took it right there.
And I was like, dude, these are like the real life, like Robert De Niro
Yeah, man.
and Joe Pesci's.
I used to, when I used to go to Richie, like, I think I was like, my first time in California, I was, what do they call it, like monologues where you're like writing them out. And the one where he was like, you know, so I'm sitting over sea caucus, like when he did the whole scene. What do you mean funny? Funny how? Like, dude, I knew that like inside out. You know what I mean?
Wait, from Goodfellas.
Yeah. Goodfellas, man. Like Joe Pesci was a beast. He could do everything. He did My Cousin Vinny. And bro, a lot of people don't know this, but like Joe Pesci was in Lethal Weapon. It was Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover.
Dude, Joe Pesci was in Home Alone.
Yeah, dude, he was in Home Alone. Yeah, he did it across the board. He's talented.
No,
actually,
Joe Pesci was a very versatile guy.
Versatile, man.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, that's nuts. Because he plays these killer roles, and then he's a comedian. You know,
Yeah, well,
he's
dude,
cool.
I mean, you look at him in like
He's real cool.
Casino compared to like Home Alone.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like it's starkly different.
Hey, Robert De Niro did that too, though, with the Meet the Parents. That was hysterical, man.
Robert De Niro went through a phase of rom-coms, legitimately, right? Like kind of like rom-coms, but also like family movie kind of stuff.
Rom-coms. What do you mean?
Like romantic comedies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But I don't know. Like, I don't know all that. Like, all I know is, like, when he plays, like, the gangster, and then the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
Bro, that was one of the funniest movies ever. When they were sitting at the thing and he had the urn, like you're not going to be able to see it because we're doing audio, but when they opened up the champagne, dude, and it hit the thing, Robert De Niro said, his face, you know what I mean? He can make you laugh just with his face. And then Ben Stiller, dude, all he was trying to do was just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Spiking the ball, knocking, you know what I mean, making the girl bleed. I like that movie a lot, actually.
What's your favorite Robert De Niro role, Charlie?
Honestly, I really liked him in The Bronx Tale, where he was a bus driver and he wasn't the gangster, and he was just trying to be a regular working dad with his son, you know. The Bronx Tale is probably one of my favorite movies, actually.
And you like Raging Bull, though, too, right?
I love Raging Bull. I used to do a scene from that one, too, believe it or not, when he was in front of the TV, because, you know, Jake LaMotta, like, he was a beast, man, but he was, like, a little bit abusive. He was an alcoholic, didn't really train hard. He was, like he was one of those guys that had that real talent, like a Rocky Marciano, but, you know what I mean? He was just, he had his own demons, man. But yeah, I love Raging Bull. It was a different kind of directed movie too, I think.
That was a Scorsese movie.
I believe so. I'm not sure. You know that stuff. You're the movie man.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Well, especially nowadays, though. Like I'm like really into like the filmography and stuff like that.
What's the one? Pulp Fiction. You just watched that. You love that,
dude. Like being introduced to Tarantino has legitimately changed my life.
Yeah.
Like I am such a nut for Tarantino movies now. I really like Pulp Fiction, but the kid who I was hanging out with today, Luke, we were talking, and he also is a Tarantino fan, actually, which is kind of cool, because I didn't know there were other people like myself who were 17-year-olds who were also like big Tarantino fans.
Right.
It's like a rarity. But we were talking about Django Unchained. Have you ever seen that one?
I've never, no.
That's with Jamie Foxx, where he's this liberated like slave who becomes a cowboy, and he like hunts like slave owners like in the deep south, and it's just like this like really original take on westerns. It's basically like the western that never got made.
Oh no crap.
Which is awesome, and that's kind of like what I want to do with film and stuff like that too.
Yo, speaking of Jamie Foxx, like when I lived in Miami, my buddy Jay worked at the door. Jay, what's up, man?
Yeah.
So he worked at the door at the Sky Bar. Sky Bar is like the big time place. They had one in LA. They just opened it in Miami at that point. Mm-hmm. And so they had the room called the Red Room, which was like the VIP room. Okay. So like I would go to get into the parties, you know what I mean? So Jay got me into the Jamie Foxx party, and Dude, it was amazing. Like there was just a circle. Jamie Foxx was out there like with a legitimate bottle. Girls just walking by, pouring it in their mouth. Just going through the club. You know what I mean, I'm up in the mix grinding and stuff. I'll never forget that. Jamie Foxx. That's funny, man.
Did you talk to him at all?
Yeah, no, just what's up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I was just part of the party. Like they didn't know who I was. You
met a bunch of people at that time in your life.
I met a bunch of people, man. Well, it started with Richie. Like the first famous guy I met with Richie was my first night out there, dude. Was Leif Garrett. I didn't even know who he was at the time. You know what I mean? And kind of find out my favorite movie, Outsiders. Like
right.
he was a lead guy. I didn't even know that.
Wait,
but
hold on. Stop the presses. Outsiders is your favorite movie.
Yeah, like when I moved to Miami, I had a duffel bag, right? I had a plastic cross. I had 2 pairs of jeans. I had 2 pairs of Calvin Klein tight medium tees, and I had the Outsiders. And I gave the Outsiders actually to my boss at Dogma Will as like a parting gift.
That's awesome.
The DVD, dude.
That's classic.
Yeah. So I met a lot of people through the years, you know.
Didn't you have like a run-in with Lenny Kravitz at some point?
No, Tony Danza.
Right.
Tony Danza. Yeah, we were at a place called Casa Vega, and we were inside, and like it was me, Richie, and Stevie Salas. Stevie Salas is a cool guy. He was like the man. I used to get jealous of him actually, because like he'd be like 2, 3 girls hanging with him at a time. I used to tell Richie I don't like that dude, but actually I loved him. I was just jealous. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, we're at Casa Vega, and I look over, and like Tony Danza's standing there, like, you know what I mean, like talking to these 2 girls, and we're at this little table, and I got a couple drinks in me, and all of a sudden I'm like, Richie, man, dude, I gotta meet Tony, man, I gotta meet Tony. And Richie was like, no, dude, you don't gotta meet Tony. He's just a guy having a drink. I was like, no, you don't understand, Richie. Like I'm Italian, I'm coming up, I want to be an actor. Like I box, like I gotta meet Tony, right? So I go up to Tony Danza, and Stevie Salas, he was an instigator. He was like, yeah, Charlie, go say hi. So I go up, and he's like, I'm like, hey, Tony, my name's Charlie. Dude, right out the gate, the first interaction, he was like, hey, Charlie, pleasure to meet you. It was a class act, you know what I mean? I was like, all right, Tony, have a great night, man. I go back. About 3, 4 drinks later, I'm fired up. I'm not in my right state. I'm fired up. I'm like, Richie, I got to go talk more to Tony, right? Yeah. Richie was like, dude, don't go talk to Tony. Don't you know I went to Tony? Tony turned to me and was like, hey, no disrespect, man, but I'm just a guy out here trying to have a drink, you know what I mean? Have a good night, basically beat it, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, yeah, you too big, and then we have like little words. So like, 2 weeks later, this story's almost over, but 2 weeks later, we're outside smoking a cigarette, right? Because you couldn't smoke inside of the places out there. Sure. And there was a guy named Carlos Palomino. So it was like Carlos Palomino, another guy. He was a middleweight fighter. He fought Roberto Duran. It's called Carlos Palomino. What are they?
Roberto Duran was a monster.
The man, yeah. So anyway, I meet him. He knows Tony Danza. I told him the story. I apologized. And the next time I saw Tony, I said, hi, Tony. I'm sorry. He said, no problem, man. Good seeing you. And that was the end of it.
Dude, that's actually a very valuable story, because like that kind of like serves to the point where, you know, people in Hollywood, I mean, I think we can both kind of speak on this, like both being people that have like met a fair amount of, you know, like famous people, you know, for lack of a better expression, but like those people are just people, dude. Yeah. Like there's a serious problem in the 21st century where everybody's got this and I know like everybody's heard it before, but like seriously, you know, like coming from like 2 people like who aren't really like famous, like in like the same way that like other people are, but who have like associated with a lot of famous people. Like there is a like ridiculous emphasis on like fame and exposure.
Absolutely.
That people have in the 21st century. Like,
it's true.
It's insane. I mean, they put them on this pedestal almost like they're these like mythological figures, in the same way that like somebody in ancient Rome, like
they're not real,
right? But like
they're from a different universe.
Exactly.
And that's why like where people put limitations on themselves, think about it, because if you're like a fan in that sense, and you're looking at somebody but that's not me, like there's something different than you are, then you're gonna have limitations on yourself anyway, because it's not about being famous, but you know what I mean? Like, that's strange. So even fame sometimes, like if you get too famous, like, you know, I can understand why certain celebrities just kind of really lay back in the cut. They're not clout chasing, you know what I mean?
Why do you think though that like seriously, like why do you think people put that emphasis on like a movie star? You know what I mean? And not on like a congressman or something.
Right. Well, I know why they don't put it on congressmen, but as far as like other careers, like firemen and stuff, like yeah, you know, I get it, but it's just because, you know, we live in this world, man, and it's been like this ever since the TV, and even before that, I'm sure. I mean, but like when you go home and you put that TV on, Owen, you're almost like that's the relaxed time. You're almost checking out of your reality, and then you live this fantasy, and the character that you're watching on TV, you understand what I mean?
Dude, that's crazy. Wait, hold on. So what you're saying is like, or like maybe I'm like extrapolating too much from you right now, but like essentially like what you're saying is like, the reason like why we put so much emphasis on like movie stars is because like they're almost a part of this like fictitious reality that we kind of like clock out to.
Absolutely, clock out to it.
And like meeting them is almost like,
oh my God,
an indulgement of that fictitious reality.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's almost like seeing God, and in a way, like fame is becoming God out here in a way if you really look closely. So it's an interesting point, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it, you know.
I mean, dude, and even like for somebody like you, like Richie's like almost like a distant brother to you.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But like so many people would like lose their mind if Richie was around, you know what I mean? But like Richie, like meeting him, he's just a guy.
He came to see you play, man.
He came to see me play. I mean, I was trembling.
But Owen was rocking too, man. He was outside on Penn Street at the fair. He out there had his like new like white Jordan, like white Nikes on. He was set up. He was in the process of becoming the rock star he's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had my bandana.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. So. Like Owen is real good at shredding. He has a great ear, you know, because like. Even on this podcast, like there's no papers here. Like we freestyle, you know what I mean? Like that's what we do. You need structure and all that stuff. But and that's why you had the it factor. You do it with your acting, you do it with your fitness, you do it with your guitar, you do it with everything. You know what I mean? And then we just evolved. But anyway, I don't know how that went. But anyway, yeah, Richie came to see you, and I thought that was personally your best show. There were thousands of people there, man.
Dude, it was a packed house.
Packed house.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't even a house. It was a packed planet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, that was a very good show. I think the show that I played at, Clingers recently wasn't too bad either.
Yeah.
I mean, especially considering that, like, there was nowhere to hide at that show.
And, bro, for real, for me, like, when you go off stage, what did I say to you? Like your stage confidence is a new level now.
Yeah.
You know, like I told you a long time ago, for me, like I like to be a freestyler, blah, 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 blah. Like I told you, I got to a point where I started just looking through the crowd. When I first would go up there, I would look at the crowd, and when I would catch eye contact, they would move me. You know what I mean? I had to go up there and like legitimately look through them, and all of a sudden just do my thing, and then allow them to just feel me. And then once they start feeling, you get back in your pocket, then you can start looking out and relating and touching. But now all of a sudden, everything's one.
For sure.
It's like the perfect recipe, bro. And that's what I saw happening with you. You were bantering. You had the girl on stage singing with you. You were bantering with the audience. Yeah. You were ad-libbing a couple of jokes outside of the music. You just weren't serious.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rockstar 101, baby.
I know. No, for sure. Thank you. First of all, but that whole thing, I mean, I don't even know, like, dude, like, just like Clingers was a cool show because like I'm really like starting to like find myself musically, like kind of like how you were describing, but that's a cheap joke. But then with Uncle Pete, whenever we were in West Reading, that show, it was a little bit more like, what I mean by like there's nowhere to hide at Clingers was like with the West Reading show, like there was drums, there was keys, there was the other guitar. So it's like
there were people eating funnel cakes or dogs barking, like a little miscue thing, yeah.
Right. So it's like I felt very comfortable because there was a lot protecting me. At Clingers, dude, it was exposed. A pretty quiet room, relatively, like,
and all eyes, dude, were on you.
When I went up there, like people were like, "All right, what are you gonna play?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, all right, here he comes to the stage, and everybody's still kind of like mixing and mingling.
And audience out there, just that's the night that Owen broke out the harmonica.
I did.
It was pretty badass.
I've been teaching myself the harmonica a little bit.
It was pretty badass.
Teaching myself.
Tom Petty-ish almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Tom Petty-ish or like Bob Dylan maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm saying the list can go on, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
You should bring the harmonica.
You say potato, I say potato.
Yeah. So, and you've been playing the guitar. You've been sticking with it for a while too.
I'm sticking with it, man. Like I'm learning how to play. Like I'm not learning the way you're learning. Like for you, Owen, like you're learning. Yeah. I'm learning. I just want to be able to jam. I want to be able to, like, if I want to go sing, I want to sing and just play a little bit.
You're at a campfire.
Yeah, I'm a campfire. But if you call me on stage, I want to be able to just bang out a little solo, whatever. Like I just want to do my thing with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to romance a lady with it. Like, you know what I mean? I got to work on my singing for that, but you know what I mean? So the guitar for me, man, it's almost like just something I love. It's like a form of therapy and something I always wanted to do, because I got a guitar when I was in fourth grade. I learned to play skip to my loo when I played for 2 years. You know what I mean? I stunk because I never practiced, man.
Yeah.
So now I just, I'm not going to give it up, but
yeah,
I can live vicariously through you now,
Yeah, I mean, have at it.
I'm having at it, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way with guitar, though. Like, by and large, I mean, I like music a lot. I love it. I like recording it, but at the end of the day, like, I want to make movies, almost like a Johnny Depp. Like, I want to make movies, but then if somebody, like, Entertainment Tonight interviews me, they're like, how's music going? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm, like, playing around with my band, tonight. But it's not, like, a big thing. It kind of advertises itself.
Richie used to be in Dog Star, I think it was called, with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you think about that, like, what you're saying, like, that's a perfect thing, not just being one-dimensional. You know what I mean? Like, if you can have at it and you start doing it, because everything you do is like precise, man. So Johnny Depp is a good example, actually. I can see you totally at that. I can see you as Mark Wahlberg, Johnny Depp. And you know what's beautiful about you, Owen? The audience probably doesn't know this because, they just see things from the distance and they see the success, they see different things. But what's wonderful about you, man, like, some people just mimic other people and then bring that character and then they find success in that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You take the little things and you embody them, but as you embody them, you legitimately make them your own. John Mayer is a good example. He was like your first role model. Am I right or am I wrong? Like, John Mayer was your guy.
100%.
Still is. He always will be. But he was your intro, and then you kind of just, so you have a little bit of John Mayer in you, Jimi Hendrix, like all the way through, all these people that you loved along the journey.
It was a natural progression, too.
It always is for you, bro, and it always is for me, and it always should be for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you say, bro? Let go, let God? Something along those lines?
I got it on
It's
my
always
arms.
on the board.
It's on my arms.
It's on your arms.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it is on the board. Like, I'm on like God.
It's like a erasable marker. Every time it gets erased, I look over, it's back up.
I know, and my mom just came in the one day and just like mindlessly like put it on the board too.
And that started the trend.
Yeah,
it's funny.
That is funny. All right, we're gonna take another intermission and then we're gonna do the final segment of the show. Yeah, we'll be back in a second, guys.
Later.
Okay, so obviously like Valentine's Day is coming up.
Oh, my little sweet Valentine.
Yeah. Do you have a Valentine this year, Charlie?
I do.
Okay. Awesome. I'm thinking about one for myself as well.
Do you have anyone in mind?
I've somebody in mind. I don't know. Like it's a hard thing. Like whenever like you're in high school, because like all eyes are kind of on you like all the time. You know what I mean? And it's one of those. It's one of those things where it's like you have no like room for error. Where like if you kind of mess up or like make a fool out of yourself, like everybody notices it. And I don't know if it's like that in like adulthood, you know what I mean? But like I feel like the dating landscape is like very different.
Yeah, like high school dating and like adult dating is totally different. Like the nucleus of everything's always the same, you know what I mean? Okay. When it comes to the opposite sex or relationships or whatever. But what you just explained there, that's a whole different vibe.
Right.
Because peer pressure, you got everybody in your business.
Yeah.
You got everybody got 22 friends. You know what I mean? Like absolutely. It's just different.
Yeah, it's a hard thing though too, because like I don't know, like I know like for somebody like me, like I have I've kind of like gotten to a place, like not even like to like make this like too heavy, but like I've kind of gotten to a place where like most of my childhood friends, like I'm at like that place which like people have warned me about my whole life, kind of more of like the pessimistic people, but like the place that people have warned me about where like my childhood friends are like slowly kind of like fading away. You know what I mean? Like the people that I was friends with when I was like 4 or 5 have like slowly kind of faded away.
Yeah, well I remember my grandfather told me, he's like, Charlie, if you can count your friends in your hand when you're grown, you're a lucky man. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you're only gonna have 5 real people in your life, but it's a real good example. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I've met so many people. I've been friends with so many people through the years, and I consider, when I look back on them, they all have special places in my heart. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? In life, it comes more to what is your daily life like? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so if you work in this industry, like I'm a trainer, so like I'm here 7 days a week, man. This is my life. So you're not gonna, like my like-minded people You know what I mean? It doesn't mean right-minded people, like-minded people who are on your journey in common interests that you have as an adult, or the people you're going to interact with.
Yeah.
So, but it's a broad spectrum. When you're in school, it's the same thing, but you got what? You know what I mean? 190 kids in your grade if you're lucky.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's so conformed. So it's the same thing. It's just kind of like school. Like you go to school, you do this. It's all just basic structure for when you get older. But yeah, the dating game, man. People struggle with that till they're 90 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I really think what I learn, and I'm learning every day, even in real time as I'm speaking, the only real relationship that you must master is with yourself. And not master, but you got to have a real nice relationship with yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's cliche, and we'll do a whole episode on that actually, because I'm very interested in the relationship aspect and helping people with that as well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So we'll get into that. That's not where we're going now. Let's get back to what you were asking me, man. I'm sorry about that.
No. I mean, I'm willing to talk about that now if you'd like to, but no, I mean, it's just, you know, there's you kind of touched on this a little bit, but there is like a certain degree of like the relationship stuff that correlates to like the music and the acting as well. You know, like making yourself vulnerable is a big part of it. You know, like you're essentially putting yourself out there to an audience of one in that scenario. And
that's scarier. Think about when you said Penn Street and Clingers.
It's incredibly intimate. It's incredibly intimate, obviously.
Think about that.
Yeah, but then Penn Street and Clingers, right? Because then in Penn Street you got somewhere to hide. Because there's more people. Like there is like more of a crevice to hide in.
Real quick story, just to add to this.
Please.
I was 14 years old, and my dad said to me, Charlie, the only thing you got to do when you meet a girl is say hi. My name's Charlie. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I said, all right, Dad, I got it. Now I had a little lisp.
Yeah.
I didn't have the most clear speech. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, hi, my name is Charlie. I'm at the mall.
Just like that.
Just like that. That's how it's going to sound. The girl's going to melt in my hands, and Charlie is about to have a beautiful future as a romancer. Okay. So I'm at the mall Friday night with a couple of my buddies, and we're in front of the Bontown, and there's a girl named Michelle. I'm like, oh my God, now's the time, dude. Mm-hmm. And you talked about the peer pressure in school. All the kids, dude, there's like 5, 6, 7, 8 kids around. And then Michelle. Mm-hmm. And I go, you ever see like how it's supposed to go down, but then how it goes down?
Right.
So in my mind, I'm suave and say, hi, my name is Charlie. What is yours? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Instead, I'm like, hi, my name is Charlie. And all of a sudden, Alex, I'll never forget it, not this Alex, another, he was like, oh my God, they start laughing at me, and he was like, hey, my name is Charlie. And they start clowning me, the girl laughs. I got humiliated. Yeah. From that day, dude, I never did that again. Yeah. I started acting cool. I was like, yo, what's up? You know what I mean? And I started talking different. I started disguising my lisp. I didn't have enough courage to get rejected, and I carried that into adulthood. And finally, as a man, I realized, hi, my name's Charlie. What's your name? Hi, my name is Charlie. Like, it's nothing else. You just simply introduce yourself to everybody, right. To the world. Yeah. It's that simple. But it took me how many years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was so impressionable at 14 years old, and it scarred me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you just said too, like a lot of that has to do with like practice, like actively like talking to people and socializing.
Everything is practice.
You know, just because like you see somebody and like, you know, it's hard because so many people nowadays are like, there's like a certain degree of like prejudice with everybody. You know, somebody sees somebody and immediately thinks one way about them.
And that's no good.
It's no good, but then it immediately puts them off from like talking to them and like seeing what's up. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the dentist office, if you're in the waiting room and there's somebody sitting next to you, so many people just go on their phones and just like kind of ignore each other. But it's like that's not a healthy like social dynamic.
Think about this, bro. Like when I'm at Wawa and I hold the door, it doesn't matter who walks through that door. 99.9% say, hey, thanks. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter political views, doesn't matter anything. Like the bottom line is like when you just give that energy, you normally get it in return. A lot of people aren't creeps or a lot of them are just like uncomfortable, insecure, feeling the outside, feeling like they're being judged, and then they start judging. It's just a really unhealthy, I'll say, way to approach life. And that's where it goes back to this dating piece. If that's how you're looking at life, you can, but you're really missing out on a lot of self-peace for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you what are you going to give away other than resistance and prejudice?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I say like that self-relationship with yourself and the way you look at it.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
So with your situation in school, it's tricky. But as long as you're being sincere and you're not putting on a facade, and you're not trying to shoot game and sound cool for the other guys, because if you're doing that and you don't deliver, you're going to be chopped liver. They're going to make fun of you. They're going to clown you. They're going to play you. But if you go up there nice and smooth and don't pick her up, dude.
Yeah.
Just start to relate to her.
Right.
A relationship is just two people who are relating.
Like trying to get to know each other.
That's it. Don't play, can I take you for coffee? Like, nah, have little interactions with her.
Well, and like that's kind of like objectifying too. Like going
That's
up to somebody.
heavy, man. And I can see why the world takes it and they compartmentalize that.
Right.
Because it is in a way. Like that's another human being that you're attracted to. You don't even know if you like her because you don't know her yet.
That's right. I'm not gonna ask you out if I don't know who you are.
Yeah, let's have a couple little nice experience and say, wow, you know what, Susie, you're pretty cool. Let's get some coffee. And then you're not asking around. Now it's just two people who know each other.
Right. Me and Susie.
Yeah. And then Susie, you're paying. It's all good.
Yeah. Sorry, Susie. Until we're dating, you're paying.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks for the advice, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for the advice.
Yeah.
My dating life has improved dramatically since I've known you. You know what I mean? Because I look at Owen.
Yours, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. I look at Owen, I'm like, man, I see myself when I was his age, and I see everything I did wrong. So for me, it was like a look in the mirror where I had a real opportunity to right some of those wrongs, I'll say, and my life has become nicer because of that.
Make some constructive criticism for yourself too.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing.
Absolutely.
No, that's super valid. I mean, no, dude. Like, I mean, from one, from one romancer to another, you've come a long way, my dude. Like, seriously.
Thanks, my dude.
And then hopefully I can ask Susie if she wants to be my Valentine this year.
Yeah, hope so.
Me and Susie.
I wish you luck. Give her one of those hearts that have like a little thing on it, like the candies.
Yeah. A big thing too. This is like kind of like a subtopic from this that is interesting to comment on. It's like so many people like get turned down and they get resentful. That's a huge thing, right? It's like is somebody gets turned down and then all of a sudden like, because like a lot of times like these girls will get their feelings hurt from like guys who, got turned down by them and then like want to make a jerk out of them.
Yeah.
And that's just the wrong way to go about it.
It is. That you're just coming from that. You're putting all your happiness and value in that person's response to you. That's what that means.
You're codependent.
You're being codependent. You're being needy. And we all. Believe me, everyone, including myself, we all are at times. We all seek outside of ourselves sometimes for that self-validation, I believe it's called, for that validation. So that's normal. But you do practice. You need to recognize it. You need to become self-sufficient within yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But people become rigid when you say that, and then it's like, oh, I don't need no man, I don't need no girl, I don't need this, I don't need that. Right. That's not what I'm saying. Now that's just a complete opposite. That's not right either. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's really that balance.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it.
You want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, man. I think today was a really special, neat day, and moving forward, I'm really excited about these podcasts.
As am I. I think we're going to cover a lot of ground, especially having some different people on here to talk about some different stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Do you know who our first guest is going to be yet? Do we know that?
I do not yet. I have a couple. I asked a couple of people because the first one that we asked was uncertain. I won't call them out. Okay. So we got a couple feelers out there. Not feelers of who's going to be the first one. How we're going to break it.
Do you want to mention like a couple of the people that we're thinking about having on?
Nah, I don't want to call that out.
Fair enough.
Let's just do the kind of like we do the show. Let's just let that happen week to week. Okay. Let that just organically evolve, just like this. This is my opinion.
All right, so you guys better come back then, like the next week after we have this out, to find out who our special guest is going to be.
Hey, thank you for stopping in to Sarti Sandwiches.
Thank you for having me, Charlie.
I'm not thanking you. You part of this, my man.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, thanks to the people who listened. Absolutely.
Absolutely, and we look forward to talking with you more, seeing more of you, and smiling together. Thank you.
See you.